Well, Christmas is less than 10 days away now, and many of you may be wondering, where's the snow? So far, December has been milder than normal, and we've seen rain, but not so much snowfall. In this week's Climate Friday, we're going to talk about the impacts of climate change on Christmas snow and also look ahead to this year's Christmas. And will we see that blanket of snow on the ground? You'll find out the answer within the next couple of minutes. Let's get to those graphics as we analyze the impacts of climate change on our Christmas snow chances and what you can expect for this year's holiday weekend. Now, historically, getting Christmas snow is not a guarantee. In fact, in the Toledo area, only about 1 in every 3 Christmases provides that blanket of snow. 35% when we look back at all of our weather history, that is about 1 in 3 Christmases. Now, how do we define a Christmas snow? Well, it has to be at least 1 inch of measurable accumulation on the ground, so a trace or a dusting doesn't quite cut it. 1 in 3 Christmases bring us that blanket or inch of snow. This year, the WTOL 11 weather team is predicting Christmas snow chances are on the rise. We have a 70% chance in our forecast, and that means it is very likely when you wake up the morning of the 25th, you will see that Christmas snow on the ground. Again, historically, we're only at 35%, so this year's forecast is double what you would normally expect in the Toledo and Northwest Ohio area. Now, if we are going to see snow, it's going to happen late next week, right around the time frame of the 22nd through Friday, the 23rd, and we have issued an alert day for possible snowfall. So before we talk about the impacts of climate change, let's talk about this year in particular. December 22nd through December 23rd could bring us some snowfall, but as far as accumulations go, still a little bit on the early side to make any bold predictions. One thing's for sure, though, we are going to be watching a region of low pressure that'll move through the Midwest and Great Lakes region, and that system could bring us some snow showers and potentially a little bit of accumulation. That low is going to make its way through the Ohio River Valley, and areas from Michigan all the way down towards parts of the South could see some snow late next week that might stick around for Christmas. This system is going to head up the Atlantic seaboard and could bring some pretty decent snowfall for a lot of those big-time East Coast cities. What this means is a lot of the eastern United States is going to see increasing chances of a white Christmas, not just in Ohio and Michigan, but across much of the mid-Atlantic and the East Coast as well, seeing the chances of Christmas snow. Now, what about snow across the month of December? Last year was pretty sparse. Not only did we not see a Christmas snow, but we only had 7/10 all December long. And you may remember December of 2021, we actually had more of a green Christmas than a white Christmas, with grass showing through and no snow on the ground. The year prior, we got almost 5 inches of snow during December, and we got 1 inch on Christmas. That was a nice blanket of snow on the ground. Christmas of 2020, that was a nice treat to wake up to, wasn't it? 1 inch of snow accumulation, and remember that definition of a white Christmas requires 1 inch of fresh accumulation or a blanket of snow. Christmas 2020 delivered and brought us that white Christmas, and we have not had one since then. So how is Christmas weather changing? Time to dissect the impacts of climate change on December weather and on Christmas snow as well. As we look towards Christmas warming, we've seen a 3.2-degree increase in average temperatures on Christmas. At the end of the graph, we have today's date, and at the beginning, 1970. In other words, in the last 50 years or so, Christmas has warmed up by 3.2 degrees. We've seen all sorts of extremes, though, ranging from the warmest Christmas on record back in '82, we hit 63 degrees, and the coldest Christmas on record, we saw 13 below zero. Brr, chilly on that Christmas, and our snowiest, that was in 1909, almost a foot of snow fell that Christmas. Now, part of the reason we're seeing less Christmas snow on average is because December temperatures are getting warmer. That is no surprise, likely, as December temperatures continue to climb. In the last decade alone, we've seen a 3-degree uptick in temperatures in December, and that has lowered our chances of a white Christmas. Overall, Christmas weather is getting considerably warmer, in particular what we call the 12 days of Christmas. In other words, from December 25th through about the new year. We've seen a 7.7-degree increase in temperature since 1970, and this graph clearly shows an increasing trend in Christmas temperatures. And again, that's not just Christmas, but that's encompassing the couple weeks or the 12 days of Christmas looking beyond Christmas. A 7.7-degree increase, that is noteworthy, and that's led to more rain than snow and a decline in Christmas snow chances. Now, winter as a whole is getting warmer, not just in Ohio, not just in Michigan, Michigan, but across much of the country's midsection. Looking at the season that has changed the most, all of these blue dots across the eastern lower 48, that shows you winter warming, and winter has been the most pronounced month that we've seen an uptick in temperatures. Now, out in the western United States, some of those yellow dots, those show you where summer is the season that has changed the most. However, if you look to the east, in the United States, winter is the season that is changing the most. It's not just Toledo that's seen an uptick in temperatures, but many major cities. In fact, about 97% of major U.S. cities have seen an increase in temperatures over the winter months since 1970. That is reflected in our white Christmas chances. When the mercury is rising and temperatures are going up, we are seeing less snow on average. And as a whole, what that does is we get more rain than snow. And with temperatures above that freezing mark or above 32 degrees, white Christmas chances are on the decline. Now, of course, even with climate change, we will continue to get cold weather, and bursts of Arctic air will still happen from time to time. The long-range weather outlook does feature colder than normal conditions for much of the lower 48 United States, and the WTOL 11 weather team predicting cold conditions for Toledo and also for much of the Ohio River Valley, and even down south where you see that darker shade of blue. The cold air is going to infiltrate, and you will feel it by Christmas time. Now, of course, this year white Christmas chances are trending up, and we are seeing increasing chances that we'll wake up to that Christmas snow. As we head towards the Christmas holiday, be sure to subscribe to the Climate Friday newsletter, WTOL.com/email, for the very latest on our white Christmas chances and also how global warming and climate change may impact you in the future.